And continuing from the last movie, we know this would work, so let's go and create this table. See, I'm breaking it down into pieces to figure out a problem. So now let's drop table test3. Let's go to here and say parallel, default parallel setting. Again, create table, parallel without any funky characters on the end. Okay, let's drop table test3 again. So I did the next step. Now let's do parallel, let's say 10. It's fine with that. Drop table test3. Paste it. Parallel 256. It's fine with that as well. There's probably something in the syntax here. Now this happens when you're writing software. Often, in that you just don't see things. But I'm assuming that it doesn't like the select from dual statement in there. I don't know why. I have no idea, but sometimes there's a good reason. If you read the manuals, you'll probably find it, but that's a detail. See, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like it with the select from dual statement in there. Maybe it wants it to be an expression embedded, or it just wants a column definition that's there before it runs the statement. I don't think this will even work at all, actually. As you can see, I broke it down into pieces to figure out how to solve the problem. It doesn't like that either. It doesn't like some of the syntax I have here, which is no big deal. Now, the one important thing I want to explain here is that parallel 256, you have to have the processing capacity on your server, even if it's a multi-node rack. You've got to have the capacity to run 256 processes when a query runs. If you have the default configuration setting in an Oracle 11g R2 database and you have a table that's 256, if you run a big query on this table, the database will try to create 256 parallel processes. Starting up processes on a server, particularly Linux, Unix, Windows as well, takes a long time to start those processes up and shut them down. It will retain them for any subsequent parallel requests, but not for long, and it's essentially the creation of the processes and the cleaning up that takes a lot of processing time. Additionally, if this uses up all the CPU capacity, even across a rack server with multiple CPUs on each node and 4 nodes, and you've got lots of power, it will lock up that entire rack server processing this request until it's finished. Even if this table is empty, if I were to go and create index, or what is it? Create index test5 or test3.x, whatever you like. I'm trying to give it a name, that's all. On the table test3, and let's say it's on the ID, and then I say parallel, not sure of the syntax like this, 256. If this test table's empty, I run this on a rack server and I have 4 nodes with 4 CPUs on each, that gives me a maximum of 16 CPU cores, 16 parallel processes it should run maximum. Try to run at 256, or I run it as parallel the default. The CPUs and the Oracle database will try to create as many parallel processes as possible. This table's empty. Creating this index on this empty table, this is spelt wrong, could take forever to run this. You could lock up your entire production server for hours doing an index creation on an empty table, because it's created a whole lot of parallel processes, it's dividing it up into pieces, it's managing all the processing between, switching between those parallel processes, and it's actually creating nothing. I've seen that happen before. It's better to be conservative with parallel settings. Personally, I prefer not to use the parallel settings on tables and indexes. I prefer to put it into SQL statements itself, or into things called hints that can change SQL statements, which we won't see in this course because it's too advanced. But this is the syntax for parallel, no parallel.